of all the money that e'er I had, I spent it in good company. And all the harm that e'er I've done, alas, it was to none but me. And all I've done, for want of wit, to memory now I can't recall. So fell to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be with you all. Oh, all the comrades that e'er I had, they're sorry for my going away. And all the sweethearts that e'er I've loved, they'd wished me one more day to stay. But since it falls unto my lot that I should rise and you should, I'll gently rise and softly call. Good night and joy be with you all. Good night and joy be with you all.
I've got something in my front pocket for you. Why don't you reach on in my pocket and see what it is? Then grab onto it, it's just for you. Give it a little squeeze and say, how do you do? Something in my front pocket for you. Why don't you reach on in my pocket and see what it is?
I know, it ends abruptly, but I couldn't afford a graphic artist, so this is the best we got. Quality content, yay!
And we're back once again with another episode of Talk Game. This one, number 33. We're on a roll. 3-3-3-3 helix in the bing bong, as they say. I think they say that. I could be wrong, though. We had to take off yesterday. Normally, we would have live streamed this yesterday around 2 or 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. But I was gone all yesterday from the morning until about 10:30 at night doing or shooting a short film that will be coming out soon. I'm not sure how it'll turn out, but I'm optimistic. I think it'll be really fun. But that was very tiring, and that's what I was doing, and that's why we had to move this. I'm sorry I didn't get around to announcing this sooner, but, you know, I think we're going to have a good time regardless, and I have an extra co-host with me today. It was not announced. This was a very startling and surprising thing. Let me see if you can see my co-host once I switch to the noir shot. Mistletoe? Yeah, there she is. This is my dog, Mistletoe. She goes by Missy. Oh, my microphone's turned. There you go. Mistletoe. But yeah, she's very sweet. She's a brown lab, and she is wonderful, and I love her very much. She's all alone today, so she doesn't have anyone to play with. So she decided to come downstairs and hang out with me. So we have a co-host today. Very exciting stuff. But we got some stuff to talk about today. This week wasn't crazy big in terms of gaming news, nothing major. But obviously, if you clicked on the video, then you know one big piece of news that I find semi-hilarious and basically, I don't think it surprises anybody. Not to say everybody predicted it, but I think a lot of people, it's just they don't have high expectations at all for much of anything Xbox is doing in terms of exclusives. And that is, of course, the beautiful, the wondrous, I forgot to move this back after our final flush last week, but we'll go like this. Okay, this is our little piece of news. Crackdown 3 release date delayed to early 2018, sometime spring 2018. Now, their excuse for this and their reason is, quote, to focus on the visual polish in an effort to make a game that completely immerses players in a living world. Okay, like, I kind of see what you're saying there. A lot of people that tried Crackdown 3 live actually said that it was a very ugly game. It's that cell shading. Let me pull up an actual piece of gameplay footage from those events so that you can actually see what we're talking about. This is, whoops, I gotta take this off and bring this up. Hit play. There you go. This is Crackdown 3. This is what it looks like in the single player campaign. And basically there's single player and there's multiplayer. Their single player campaign doesn't have any destructible environments. It's basically this. You run around, shoot stuff. It basically looks like just a mod for Saints Row 4. That's basically all it looks like. The multiplayer, however, is much more interesting, and it includes big and destructible environments using cloud computing and servers, and you can blow up anything you see. You can cause skyscrapers to come collapsing down. It's really cool. But we haven't seen much of that advertised, and they've been very, very hush-hush about it, which is very suspicious and fairly fugazi. So it's concerning that they haven't shown it off, and that the only bits they have shown off looked pretty ugly. Now, I think there's a way you can do cell shading well. I think Zelda does it pretty well. They embrace that art style because they needed that art style in order to get the game to run smoothly. But I think there's a way to do it where it can be beautiful. This happens to be one of those cases where I just don't find it very pretty. Everything looks kind of bland and dry, and it's just not working for me. Some people, I'm sure, love it and think this is the best looking game that's ever been released, but for me, it's just not really doing it. And that seems to be the general, I guess, general notion that a lot of people are communicating, at least to me, that it's just not the most beautiful game. Now, saying that they delayed it specifically for visual polish, I find a little suspicious, because at this point there's not a whole lot that you can do in terms of visual polishing. You have an engine that's capable of certain things. You can crank it out, you can try to optimize, and maybe that's what they're doing. But they didn't just say we're trying to optimize it to make a steady and reliable experience. They said visual polish. So whatever they're working on, it's a little strange. Now, another theory is that that's, of course, BS, because that's coming from their marketing team. That's coming from PR. PR lies all the time, so you can't take it at their word. What this is possible is that they're going to try to push this as an exclusive, directly competing with a game like Days Gone, or really any other Sony exclusive that's coming out in early 2018. Which personally would make sense to me. However, I don't see how a game like this competes with Days Gone, or if From Software is doing something exclusive for PlayStation. I don't see how this sells Xboxes as opposed to PlayStations. But, you know, I'm sure they've got their theories and they got their marketing teams. They're very, very capable, and we're talking about a company worth billions. So clearly they know something, and these guys are capable. But they delayed it. It was initially supposed to launch on November 7th alongside the Xbox One Scorpio X, whatever crap name it is. And now they aren't. And so there's nothing really to sell the Xbox One X, aside from saying that you can play other games and just make them look better. And the problem is that is exactly how Sony tried to market the PlayStation Pro, and that did not sell anywhere near as well as they had hoped. A clear gauge of how well something sells is just to ask and to look at the company's press statements. For instance, Nintendo keeps going on and on and on about how all these records are being broken by the Switch, and Sony keeps going on and on about how there's 2 PlayStations for every Xbox out there. But when it comes to the PlayStation 4 Pro, they don't talk about it. They don't bring it up. And if it were doing really, really well, they would talk about it and brag about it. And I have a sneaking suspicion the same thing is going to happen to the X. It may be the most powerful console ever made, and people will buy it, but it's not going to be the PlayStation 4 killer that I think they were hoping it would be. And that's the problem. As Mason says in the chat, they're approaching this as a weird sort of mid-generation upgrade or refresh or whatever. And I see what their point is. They're trying to get something to keep it updated until they go to the next architecture and everything. But the problem is it's not mandatory to upgrade. There's nothing forcing the customer to go for it like exclusives. So there's no reason for people to go out there and buy it. And so all you end up with is a more powerful console that makes it harder for developers to develop stuff. And if you got the cash for a PlayStation 4 Pro, good for you. Your games are going to look a lot better. But at the end of the day, I mean, it just doesn't, I think at least, I don't think it helps people move forward a lot. I'd rather them just work on greenlighting a lot more games. But what are you going to do? But it has 4K everything. You don't need exclusives when you got 4K. That's the thing. Most of these guys, they don't know 4K. I was talking to, okay, this is a true story. I was over at somebody's house last night. We were shooting the short film, and we were on location. There was a guy there, and he's a big Xbox fanboy. And I started talking to him while we were setting up another shot, moving the cameras around and stuff. And we were talking to him. I was talking to him about games, and he's a major Xbox fanboy. And he was saying, like, I don't understand why I need to buy a new console to play 4K. I mean, I've got a good TV. Isn't it just like a software thing? Like, can't they just let me pay like $15 a month for 4K? I was like, but that's how most people who aren't like well versed in the tech of it or even decently versed, that's how they tend to approach it, where they look at it and they say, I don't get 4K. Why would I need it's like the joking meme thing where people say, I'm going to download a new graphics card or some crap like that, or download 4K and that'll make everything look better. It's just not true. It's just not true. And I think the majority of people, if you're playing on console, chances are, if you're playing on a console exclusively, you probably aren't very tech savvy. Because if you were, you would be going to PC because you're tech savvy. That seems like a common sense thing to me. Maybe that's wrong and maybe people will get upset at that, but I think it makes sense that if you're tech savvy, you're building your own PC or at least buying a pre-made PC and tinkering with it. But if you are tech savvy, you're on PC. So that means that if you're not on PC, chances are you aren't as tech savvy as the PC players. And so you're already behind. And I just think most of these people don't understand anything having to do with these graphical upgrades. All they know is it looks good or it looks bad. It's good, it's bad. They listen to what their friends say. If their friends were saying Crackdown 3 looks amazing, they'd be saying it looks amazing. If they said it looks like crap, they'd say it looks like crap. The peer pressure hop on the train is very, very powerful nowadays, and I loathe it with every fiber of my being. Yeah, like 30 FPS is totally more cinematic. That's why people do it. That is one thing that irks me, and it's true that like 24 frames per second is the classic cinematic look, but it's also true that just technically speaking, it is inferior to 60 FPS, to 30 FPS. More frames per second will tend to give you a better image and a higher quality gameplay experience. Now, there's some games where that might not be true. Games like The Last of Us or The Lost Legacy, as we'll be talking about, those games are meant to look very cinematic. So perhaps they wouldn't work as well, because when you're talking about higher frame rates, you're talking about higher shutter speeds, which means decreased motion blur. And motion blur is something that your eye does naturally and that film does naturally, so people would tend to see things more blurry. It has a certain look to it. So I guess there's an argument there for that. I think it's, it's the chicken and the egg. Which came first? Your desire to be cinematic or your desire to just get something running on the PlayStation 4? Probably the latter. And then this just happens to be the excuse you're using. But luckily that excuse is toned down and died down. About, 5 years ago, that was a really common thing where people were saying, console players were saying all the time, maybe they still are, I don't know. But I remember hearing it a lot more when people were like, but it's more cinematic. They're going for like a really visually impressive experience. You're on a PC. You're just getting stupid stuff. It's a waste of time, man. I hate it. I hate it so much. I just hate people. I think that's the problem. Yeah, Daniel says Hellblade is cinematic, and after 5 minutes at 60 FPS, it was great. Yeah, no, I played through that whole thing at a steady 60 FPS, and I had a great time doing it. I think you can still have a cinematic experience. That's the question: is the cinematic feel more focused on like the grain? And Hellblade, if you've played it, there's a very particular grain filter on the entirety of the game, so it feels like film, actual film. And then, but you can also have a higher frame rate, and the motion blur kind of fixes itself in your brain. It kind of translates that, makes it look real. I think at the end of the day, the more frames per second, the better. And we'll just go from there. The cinematic feel, I think, is mainly a storytelling feel, as opposed to Crackdown. Crackdown is not a cinematic feel because there aren't clear cuts. There aren't these massive shots that are panning. It's not well set up in terms of cutscenes and all that. I think it's more cinematography based than anything else. And I would agree, Liu, that 1080p 60 FPS should be the standard moving forward. The fact that it's not, even on these expensive consoles, is a little frustrating. For me, I mean, that's the standard, and if I can play a game at 4K, I'll play a game at 4K. But it's one of those things where you can't go back once you start doing that. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So that's the first little thing about Crackdown 3. Little fugazi, little strange. They're pushing it back to early 2018. But we'll see where they go from there. I mean, I'm open-minded about it. The multiplayer does look cool, and running off of a 1070, 1080 on PC, that could look really, really good and very impressive. If you could get total destruction of an entire open world running steadily at 60 FPS, hell yeah. No, I'd be up for that. Yeah, I'd be totally up for it. Mistletoe is cleaning the crap out of her paws. I don't know if you can see her. Yeah, she's gnawing at her paws. She's got something like a pebble stuck between her pads. My cat was in a cat fight not last night, the night before, 2 nights ago. And she has this big gash on her back, right near her butt. And it's like this big, but it's a cut all the way down. And she came in yesterday morning and she was acting really strange. And she smelled weird, and we looked at it. We thought she had something stuck in her hair, and then we looked at it, and all of a sudden, like, oh, holy crap. It's like this oozing amorphous blob of just grossness. So we took her to the vet, and they shaved it, so she's got like a strap, just a bald patch, and they had to clean it out and like sew it together. She got all messed up. Problem is, she's like a warrior at heart, but she doesn't have front claws. So she's at she's at half capacity. She's at a major disadvantage, but she gets into all these gang fights basically at night. Drives me crazy. And so she's been really crazy, and Mistletoe's been laughing at her. She's like, "You stupid cat, can't even fight right." So hey Lisa, glad to have you here. We're going a little earlier than we normally would. We got to figure out the schedule moving forward. School starts Monday. I live in a school town, a college town specifically for Colorado State University, and this time of year, yesterday, everyone was moving in. Today, all the parents are here with their kids, moving them in, and then they're going around town like as a goodbye before school starts tomorrow. No, 2 days from now on Monday. And so it's just the worst time. It's the worst time. All these tourists coming in, and they don't respect your city. They come in, they trash it. They're everywhere. I just don't like it. I don't like it. And no, I'm one of those people. I'm a cityist, I suppose. I like my city. I like the people in my city. I don't want anyone else here. If you come in slowly, and you better adapt to the way we do things. But we just have a bunch of New York and California transplants, as we call them. They screwed up their state. Now they're coming here. It kills me. It kills me. But moving on. Enough about stupid tourists and students moving in who are living in freaking penthouses. Some of those places are $4,000 a month, and their parents are paying and putting them up in that. I had to defer my enrollment to CSU because it was going to be so expensive, and because I can't pay for it. Like, that's white privilege, I suppose. But what are you going to do? Here we go. Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. It comes out on the 22nd, so it's not out just yet for the mainstream public, but all of the reviewers got their review codes a week before. So they got their review codes on the 15th, and it took them a day or two to finish it, and then they went and were able to release it. Now, this is actually being marketed now as basically its own standalone title, which is interesting, because initially it was marketed as basically just a DLC expansion for Uncharted 4, and then they changed it into basically a standalone release, which I'm okay with, I suppose. But it's very interesting how they're approaching it. Basically, instead of having Nathan Drake, you now have Chloe and Nadine. Now, if you follow me for any amount of time, you know that I'm not a big fan of Chloe, and I loathe Nadine. I think they're bad characters. I think Chloe should have been killed off in Uncharted 2, and I think Nadine never had anything interesting about her character at all. She just came in to be like, look, empowered women. I think you can have very impressive empowered women. Look at Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, one of my favorite games of all time at this point, one of the most impactful experience I've ever had while gaming. And she's not a sexualized character. She's a character with issues and problems, but she has a story, and they're telling it, and it's her story. Nadine comes in Uncharted 4 and just starts beating up Nathan Drake and his brother, who's been in prison for years and years and years, doing nothing but push-ups and sit-ups and fighting all day long. They take on her, both of them, and she's fine. And she puts up a fight and everything's okay. I get maybe she's highly trained or whatever, but damn it, there's a limit. Nathan Drake is also fairly capable. I mean, hell, he kills like 30,000 people over the course of the series, so he's capable too. I just don't like the characters. I think that, especially with Uncharted, I think Nathan Drake is Uncharted. And if you don't have Nathan Drake, you lose a sort of comedy and brevity and levity, rather, to the entire experience, where it's Indiana Jones, but you also have this kind of goofy, silly guy that you are rooting for the entire time. This time around, you don't have that. And it's a little strange. One of the guys I really enjoy with, I've spoken with him on a few occasions. I was on a podcast with him, Carrick from ACG. And if you're not familiar with his reviews, they're pretty fantastic. But Carrick, or Jeremy, he was saying that he played through this. He was given an early review code. I was not, so I have not been able to play this. So I'm going off of what he said specifically. But he said there's multiple occasions in this game where you're going through, and there will be a moment where something is revealed, and Chloe will be like, oh yes, the gods fought, and here this tusk was removed. And it's like a little strange, because you have to ask, like, are they aware that this didn't actually happen? I mean, not every country's religious mythology can be true, and it seems like every game it's true, and it's like, oh wow, that's incredible. They try to take a little bit more serious stance on these things this time around, and apparently it comes off a little strange at certain moments, where it's like Chloe and Nadine actually think that, like, you know, that the serpent came down from the gods, and then this is the actual staff that the gods carried. It's like, what are we doing here? Like, what are we doing? But yeah, so it's interesting. I think I'm open-minded. I'm willing to be pleasantly surprised. Of course, people always say like, oh, you're just a downer, you are overly skeptical, whatever. But at the end of the day, I want there to be a lot of good games. I want to have a game that I can enjoy and love. I was skeptical of Hellblade when it first released, and I wasn't expecting on doing an hour and 20-minute long critique on it. But after playing it, I was like, this is awesome. I need to give this game some focus and some credit. And with Uncharted 4, I was pleasantly surprised. I was very impressed. And maybe with Lost Legacy, I will also be impressed and surprised. It's just the premise, as it's been described to me thus far, doesn't seem that interesting to me. And maybe it's just because this setting I'm not big into. India has never been that interesting to me. If they did this in ancient Egypt, yeah, I'd be there. You better believe I'm going to play the living crap out of friggin' Assassin's Creed Origins. That's going to be a game where I'm like going to go on vacation. We'll do Talk Gaming extras and stuff, and I'll check out for like 2 weeks, and I'm just going to play the hell out of that. We'll live stream some of it. You better believe it's going to happen. But this is IGN's final thing. No bad. It's all good. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. It's a new standard in video games. Blah, blah, blah. Gameplay callbacks to the series are both strong and subtle. Okay. Engrossing combat encourages improvisation and ingenuity. Well-written banter between Chloe and Nadine creates a believable relationship. Puzzles are rewarding challenges. This seems like baseline stuff. Like if you achieve this stuff, you should get a 7. And then everything past that, because the way grading is supposed to work, 7, like a C, 70% is average. C is supposed to be average performance. B is above average, and A is exceptional. So this is a 9, 90%, it's an A. This is exceptional. But the good is all stuff that you would expect would be necessary. This is an awesome comment, Galactica X. Okay, this is incredible. Their faces remind me of Team America characters, and I have to say, you are kind of right. Let me see if I can actually find a picture of Team America. If you are not familiar, are you guys familiar with Team America? I want to know in the chat, because I'm a big fan of Team America, made by the creators of South Park. Here we go. This is it. Here I stand. There we go. So they're puppets. So yeah, that's Team America. You can't beat it. There literally is no beating it. It's just incredible, and I highly recommend it. It's I can kind of see the resemblance. I'm very, very thankful for that comment, for bringing that to my attention, because now I can never unsee that, and I'm very thankful for that that fact. So yeah, that's out. People seem to be enjoying it. But the question is, Uncharted 4 has always been reviewed very well. Really anything coming from Naughty Dog is always very, very popular. And they look great. They tend to play pretty well. They're for a particular audience, but sometimes they can start to feel samey and a little bland. And that's where the writing needs to come in, and they have interesting plot points. Maybe they'll have something with Chloe and Nadine that's really impressive and really engaging. But for me, like Nathan Drake, you buy into it because you're rooting for him. You want him and, everyone around him to do well, to succeed, to make it out of there alive, and to have all their relationships come together. And I just don't see that with Chloe so far, even after Uncharted 2. So, I mean, I'm open-minded. We'll see. But that came out. That comes out Monday or Tuesday, and so yeah, be aware of that. On the lookout. Next thing, new Hellblade patch is out, fixes a lot of bugs. Now, I wanted to pull this up. This is all of the bugs they fixed. Like, very, very impressed. Very, very impressed. They pumped through these bug fixes, and I am very happy about that, because I ran into one bug on my playthrough. I don't think I ended up mentioning it. Let me see if I can find the clip of it. I don't think I ended up mentioning it in the critique, because it was something they were aware of and that they were going to fix, and they fixed in this patch. Let me see if I can find it. I have the entire playthrough clipped and cut. I just have to find which clip it is. It took 8 total parts, like start, stop of cutting the gameplay to actually get through all of Hellblade. Here is where it happened. Okay, I found it. Let me go back to right before it happened. Okay, this is where it happened. Right here. Oh, damn it. Here. Okay, this is when it happened. So I was playing through. This is right near the end. Don't worry, no spoilers or anything. This is just something happened when I was running towards a door. So I'm running around. I just solved a little puzzle thing, and I'm coming through, and I'm going to crawl under this. And so crawl under, but the animation plays, and I clip into a rock. Because the animation, once you get towards that beam, the animation triggers to go under the beam, and then once the animation ends, you're given control again. But by the time the animation ended, I'd clipped into the rock, and you couldn't get out. So I tried running around, I tried sprinting, I tried crouching, I tried kind of jumping around, I tried going into the focus to get out of it, and so I just got stuck. And this was the first and only time I experienced a bug that totally tore me out of the immersion. It was a very well-polished game in general, for me at least. Other people didn't have the same experience. Jim Sterling, for instance, one of my least favorite gaming personalities out there, he went and he did a review of this, giving it a 1 out of 10, and that's one of the reasons I don't care for him, because he will purposely put out something like that, like a 1 out of 10, just to get clicks, and then he changes it and he's like, oh, it's a 7 out of 10. See, I'm understanding and I'm forgiving. See, we're all friends. But it was because he went, you have to carry this torch to stay out of the darkness, because if you get into the darkness, she goes insane in this sequence. And he forgot to light it, and then the game auto-saved without him having a torch. So he was stuck, and there was no way to go back. There's no multiple saves. You're screwed. So I had to actually back out, and I was in trouble at that point. I had to close out, basically start from the load screen again, and it was okay after that. But no real issues there. So that got fixed. But Kamuro Tetsu, is it true that this game deletes your saves after so many deaths? Well, it's true and not true. For all intents and purposes, if you're going to play the game, it's true. Okay? Play the game as if it's true. That's why they tell you that that's what happens. And if you're going to play the game, believe that to be true and play it like it's true. That's all that really matters at the end of the day. If you play it like it's not true and you're taking it half-heartedly, you're not going to have a good time. The reason they tell you that is because they want you to approach it like you are Senua, like your life depends on it. And so it's just, for all intents and purposes, play the game like that's true. But okay, yeah, Jim Sterling, not a huge fan. People just gotta stop clicking on his stuff. And if he puts out a good video, watch that, and free market, baby. He'll eventually get back in the swing of things. But when he puts out a video like that, sure, he gets hate for a couple days, but then it's over, and his name is more recognizable now, and pretty soon people have forgotten what actually happened. On the internet, there's rarely anything like there's rarely such a thing as bad press. It's unfortunate, but it's kind of true. Even if you have some scandal that goes on, it ends up being pretty positive. Look at Jake Paul. I mean, Team 10, bro, every day, bro. Like that was a freaking train wreck, and he got so much hate from it. But look at where he is now. Like, he's bigger than he ever has been. So, you know, you just got to be careful. Yeah, attention is currency on the internet. God of War, I believe 2018, early 2018. England is my city. You guys better believe it. That's like the best argument for it being intentionally bad, is when that guy says, and I'm not from Compton. England is my city. It's just absolute trash. Like, he had to know. I choose to believe that no one is that stupid. I choose to believe that for my own mental health. I choose to believe that no one is that stupid, but some people are, unfortunately. Nintendo Switch outsells PS4 and Xbox One in the US during July. And this is impressive, but it's also important to remember that the PS4 remains the best-selling console for the full year. That's mainly because it started out, it has January and February sales on top of that. So it has 2 extra months on the Switch. But I have to imagine that PS4 at the PlayStation Experience, December 9th and 10th, they're going to be showing off more of The Last of Us Part 2, and they're also going to show off something from Software, maybe a Bloodborne sequel or a spiritual successor, something like that. And I just have to imagine that that's going to spark it. So now, without any sort of like, it's okay. The Xbox One X is going to be launching November 7th at full price at $499. I think that's a good price. That's cheaper than I expected it to be. So they're not making much money off of the Xbox One X per console. They're just not. There's no way they are. So with that having been said, by Christmas time, don't expect any sales. You might get a digital game bundle where you get like Halo 5 bundled with it or something. But other than that, don't expect many sales. The PlayStation 4, however, you can expect that to come bundled at $250 and 3 AAA games. You know, PS4, you get Uncharted 4, The Lost Legacy, and maybe The Last of Us, all bundled or something like that. A Naughty Dog bundle, or they throw in Bloodborne or something like that. They can do that very, very easily, and there's a great argument for that. And so I have to imagine that if Nintendo can get the Switch stocks up, then they're going to probably win Christmas and Black Friday, and the PS4 will be second, and then Xbox will be third. That's just how I see it. So I think Nintendo's going to have a very strong year. They just have to get their crap together in the manufacturing department. At this point, I was going to go out and get a couple more Joy-Cons for my Switch so that I could play Overcooked with some friends of mine. We absolutely love that game, and it's on the Switch, so I just need 2 more Joy-Cons, then 4 of us can play at a time. But they're sold out everywhere. And to get them on Amazon, you're paying an extra $30, $40 to get them from some other scalper. It's mind-bogglingly stupid how difficult it is to get any Switch product. It really is. Just like, shut up and take my money. Just take my money. I want your product. Take my money. But they don't have the supplies for it, and it's stupid. Horizon Zero Dawn. Yeah, Horizon's big DLC. Thanks for reminding me, Geralt. That's going to be big. I think that's going to surprise a lot of people. Basically set in Yellowstone, and I'll go back and I'll play that. I wasn't wildly impressed with Horizon like a lot of people. I thought it was a cool proof of concept, and I think it's one of those games that is good, but when the sequel comes, people are going to be like, holy crap. I think the sequel is going to blow people away like no game has before, but I think that this initial one showed what they could do, and that was very, very impressive, but it didn't blow me away as much as I was hoping it would have. But maybe that DLC will showcase some of their new ideas, their writing, something like that. I'm kind of excited, and I'm certainly going to try it. How you doing? What are your thoughts on Horizon Zero Dawn, Mistletoe? Do you have anything to add? Do you have anything to add? Yeah? Yeah? Oh, I got a lick. I'm pretty popular. So that's Mistletoe's thoughts on that. Thank you, Mistletoe. Always well informed and educated. That's one thing we can always expect from you, and thank you for. This is something I find vaguely hilarious, and I want you to see it as well. Here we go.
It is on me now.
This burden of responsibility.
Anyone else heard of this?
For those who live here.
For my family.
These are dangerous times.
But these are my decisions to make.
And whatever path I take, family is all.
Family is all.
Is a baby. Planet of the Apes. Last Frontier. Fall 2017. Coming out on all consoles and devices. Now, I hang out with a lot of actors, okay? It is unfortunate, but I do. And actors tend to be incredibly and sometimes even painfully liberal. Now, I tend to be a little more libertarian, culturally proud. I'm pretty open-minded. But I in a conversation that had nothing to do with politics, I mentioned that they were making a Planet of the Apes video game where you were going to be fighting a bunch of apes. And this girl looked at me. She said, that entire franchise is so freaking racist. It's like, what? What? She's like, you're fighting a bunch of monkeys. It's racist. It's like they're living out their dreams of fighting black people. And I was like, at this point, no one said that. No one even compared that. No one was thinking of that. Like, at your attempt to be offended by anything and everything, you just ended up being more racist because at the end of the day, you're the one that just compared black people to monkeys. Like, you are the bad person. You're the problem in this world. I just hate people like that. It's just a video game about a bunch of monkeys that take over the world. Like, it happens. I mean, but that's happened to me multiple times. That's happened to me multiple times. And this trailer, I watched it and then I was talking about it with those friends. And then this chick gets super offended at the thought of War of the Planet of the Apes. And she has no idea at just how insane she was. Like, I have no words. I have no words. But that's the hilarious thing when it comes down to it, is most of these people, in their attempt to be wise, they become foolish. And in their attempt to be very virtuous, they end up becoming the very thing that they hate. And it's insane. Yeah, Daniel, don't be racist. Hate everything equally. Oh, golly. But yeah, I thought that was interesting and I'd throw it out there. Powered by the Unreal Engine 4, it looks okay. It's probably going to suck mad balls, but what are you going to do? It just, they're making it. And that's what's happening. That's what's happening. Okay, next one. This is second to last topic I have, at least. Google explains why it banned the app for Gab, right-wing Twitter rival. Now, we're not getting too political with all this, but basically Gab is just an app that allows you, it doesn't have much moderation. It's completely open. It's focused on free speech. You can say whatever you want on it. It's purely a means. It's not an end. It doesn't have an end. It's trying to justify or force. It's not forcing people of a certain ideology onto it. It's just giving people a platform that they can use to discuss. And that's ultimately what people would look for in an open forum for discussion. Google, however, emailed the developers of it and said, after review, Gab AI.gab.android has been suspended and removed from Google Play as a policy strike because it violates the hate speech policy. And essentially, their explanation is, quote, in order to be on the Google Play Store, social networking apps need to demonstrate a sufficient level of moderation, including for content that encourages violence and advocates hate against groups of people. This is a long-standing rule and clearly stated in our developer policies. Developers always have the opportunity to appeal a suspension and may have their apps reinstated if they've addressed the policy violations and are compliant with our developer program policies. So it's a little bit rubbish. Essentially, their argument is that there is no moderation actively actively suppressing certain ideas and certain points of view. And ultimately, I think, you know, if you are a racist of any kind, I think racist thoughts and ideas tend to be evil. I think they're evil. I think they're bad. But people still have a right to say them. And I think same thing about video games. If you want to make a very provocative game or say something, yeah, you should be able to do that. I might not enjoy it, but you can do that. I might tease the crap out of you, but you can do it. Google says you have to play by their rules or they're going to cut you off. Now, luckily, Gab and the people that use Gab are fairly capable. So what they'll probably just end up doing is creating, I'm not really familiar with Gab, to be honest, but what they'll probably end up doing is just creating like an easy to use mobile site that you can just bookmark on your homepage and go and chat through there. So you don't need a dedicated app if they're not going to do a dedicated thing, which is fine. If they're not going to give you a dedicated app, you can either do that and kind of jailbreak it, or you can simply just have a web-based client and go through that. But I thought I would point that out because I have seen a couple people in the Discord mention that very topic, and I thought that it would be important to mention it. I've one more topic after this, something that was very cool. Nintendo has been sued by Game Vice over Joy-Cons and their functionality. Basically, this is what the Joy-Cons look like. They're very cool. They're very fun. You can play with them disconnected or connected. It's great. I love my Switch. I just want more games for it. This is what Game Vice made. You slide your cell phone in, stick these on the side, and then you can play like that. And they're saying Nintendo's totally ripped them off and should not only pay them damages, but should also cease all sales and production of the Nintendo Switch. Now, if they had actually just sought reparations and damages as it pertains to the lost sales of these controllers, and that's basically what you have to do, is you have to say, kind of like under fair use law, you have to say that not only does this product that supposedly and allegedly ripped off their copyright and their patent, you have to show it copied the patent, and you also have to say and show and prove that this copy or stolen product steals and destroys the actual value of the old product. And that difference, that damage, is what you're going to be paying in damages. Now, I don't know how many people would have been buying these controllers and now won't be because of the Nintendo Switch. Maybe there is a number, but it probably isn't very high. And so Nintendo might just pay them $100,000, just say, screw off, we're going to take care of this. Or, to make a point, Nintendo will just use their team of lawyers. They've got a ton of cash and they can do this. They may just use a team of lawyers and smack them upside the head and try to drag this out as long as they can. That's something corporate companies do a lot, actually, is when somebody will bring a lawsuit like this against them. They'll say, oh, you want to play that game? Okay, let's play that game. We got a lot more cash than you, and we have a lot more lawyers. So what they'll do is they'll drag it out for years and years and years. Not because they think that they're going to win the case or whatever. They're just trying to bleed as much money from these people as they possibly can. Because they know if they lose $50 million on a massive court case for Nintendo, $50 million, yeah, they would have liked to have it, but it's not the end of their company necessarily. if these guys lose 50 million, they're in debt. They're bankrupt before they even reach that point. And 50 million's a really inflated number. It wouldn't be that high, maybe a couple million or something for all the lawyers and court fees and stuff. But that's something that's probably going to happen. So you can expect this to disappear into the ether and court papers. And in a few years, we'll probably hear something that has been resolved or settled out of court or something after Nintendo's dragged this out for as long as possible. They're not going to cease production of the Switch. They're not going to stop any of that. It's just stupid. It's just stupid. The next thing I wanted to show you, and the last thing I have, I actually am a big fan of, and I want to try. And that is, if I can switch, yes. Mario Kart in VR. This looks freaking incredible. This is coming from IGN. They played through this. And basically it's with the HTC Vive. And I guess they got licensing from Nintendo to do this. And that's awesome. It's in Japan. They'll probably bring it to a few conferences that you can go to. But it looks so much fun. Like, look at this. Who wouldn't want to play this? I'm a big fan of Mario Kart in general, but to play it in VR, that's pretty baller. That's pretty baller. There's only 3 items: green shell, there's a hammer, and you know, the bananas. And you have to actually reach up with the controller and grab them and use them. But this would be like, okay, this is why I'm interested. And maybe this type of thing could be what sells VR. They just got to bring name titles of high quality to VR, and then it can really come out and stand the test of everything. But it's just tough because right now not a lot of people have VR. So what I would expect to happen is maybe with the next console, somebody will try to bundle, like maybe PlayStation will bundle their VR console, and it'll be another freaking Kinect situation all over again. They're just going to have to start pushing it, really. At the end of the day, they're going to have to start pushing it, and that's fine. They'll learn their lesson that not everyone will want it, but I think this is probably the future of a lot of gaming. This looks really cool, and I would like to try it. So yeah, Mario Kart in VR. It's a thing. It's officially a thing. Take it or leave it. I'm open-minded. What do we got going on in the chat? Everyone's upset that Bethesda is porting old games to newer hardware instead of using new ideas to make new games. Minecraft has been around for a while, but Mojang doesn't have any other IPs. At this point, Minecraft is basically approached as almost like how they approach big MMOs, where they're just saying, you know what, it's an institution and we're just going to let it float, so we're not going to mess with it. And I can't diss them too hard for that. But specifically with Skyrim coming to the Switch and coming like being released so many times, I think at the end of the day they're trying to approach it like an MMO, because in many ways Skyrim is a bit of an institution at this point, especially with the modding community. But I am frustrated by it because it's the same game. The mods are there, yeah, but they're not. I mean, you don't have the same freedom to mod on the Switch as you did on the PC. And, you know, they try their darndest. They do a good job, but it's not quite working for me. I'm not sure. I don't think I'm going to actually end up buying Skyrim for the Switch. I just don't want to give Bethesda any more money, because charging $60 for a game that's 6 years old, I get you're refreshing it, whatever. It's damn stupid. It's stupid. Thoughts on No Man's Sky updates? I'm impressed that they are sticking with it. I'm pleasantly surprised, actually, because if anybody had a reasonable excuse to just abandon a project, it was probably No Man's Sky. All of those guys on that team, it would have been understandable if they had just said, you know what, we messed up, we're gonna go crawl in a hole, work at a McDonald's, and forget about this and never think about it again. And I think that that's interesting, that they're sticking with it. I mean, I was never really interested in the game, so the fact that they're making some updates is cool. I think at this point the only thing they can hope to do is the brand, the name No Man's Sky is so damaged at this point. I don't think there's any way you can save it. I think you might as well just like sell your studio, Hello Games or whatever they are, sell that studio to another studio and then have them release a spiritual relaunch or reboot using the same tech and everything under a new game title. I think that's what they should do. They should do like what they did, what they're doing with Skull and Bones, using the ship and sailing tech from Black Flag. They should just do that, reboot it, make it its own thing, take what they learned and not make the same mistake. But that brand has been so tarnished. It's tough. I think Sony wants to forget about it too, which is why they're trying to kind of bury it. Thoughts on why Lawbreakers has had a rough launch? Yeah, well, we played Lawbreakers, actually. Let me see if I can find that live stream from back in the day. We played Lawbreakers on the channel, actually, like the actual gameplay. It was the beta and the open beta or whatever. Let me just search for it. That'll be easier. Lawbreakers. There it is. Open, damn it. Oh, it went to the edit page. And yeah, I mean, I got to play with some of you guys and it was fun. This is it right here. And I mean, it was fun. We had a good time, and I'm not really good at these types of games, but you're talking about a particular genre of games that are, it's just so overwhelmingly dominated by Overwatch and by, you know, Call of Duty and Battlefield. Those games own this genre and this market, and I'm glad that they were trying to get into it. But you have to come up with something really fantastic and amazing to compete with those behemoths. And I think after the beta, it just wasn't that incredible. And I think a lot of people were open to it. But also, there was no press. There was nothing really coming out and promoting this game when it launched. People played the open beta. They thought it was kind of fun and cool. But that was about the end of it. And so maybe it'll make a resurgence. I don't know. I kind of hope it does, because I think competition is healthy. But it's not a game I would go out and buy and pay full price for, or even half price for, because that type of game just isn't really my thing. But I can kind of understand what they were trying to do. I just think I think it was a marketing failure. I think they should have hired somebody, spent a little more money promoting it, sending stuff to IGN to push. And I think it could have been good. Battleborn, yeah. Same basic thing. Launched at the worst possible time. It was a mistake to make an open beta. Well, maybe. I mean, a lot of games have had open betas, and they can either sell your game or destroy it. And I think it probably sold more people than turned them off, but the problem was that people had forgotten about it and didn't realize it was launching. I didn't realize it was launching until after it launched, and people were talking about how lame the launch was. And so I think it was just a marketing failure more than anything else. Let's see. I saw another one I wanted to talk about. I missed it. Oh, do I watch Game of Thrones? No. I'm somebody who is very selective with my TV and entertainment like that. Mostly right now, I just don't have the time to sit down and watch Game of Thrones. And secondly, I'm the type of person that will tend to get really into one thing and watch the crap out of it, like Breaking Bad. I got really into that senior year of high school. Watched like every season. That was the year of the final season, my senior year. So like the 2 weeks before the finale, I watched the entire series while finishing high school at a classical school, writing a senior thesis and all this stuff. That's how into it I was. I was all in. I think that show is phenomenal. So probably once Game of Thrones is over and all of the episodes are out there, then I'll probably check it out. But I don't like the idea of watching a show and then needing to wait a week and then 6 months and then a week again, then a week, 6 months. I don't like the idea of waiting for a story to play out like that. I'd rather just wait till I can experience it all at the same time. But yeah, I don't watch Game of Thrones. Imagine that. Deathstroke says, yeah, as a Witcher fan, I really liked Game of Thrones. That's weird. The YouTube live chat just cut out. That was bizarre. Nope. Back. Nope. Back. Nope. Okay. Well, we'll just disconnect it. Hopefully we're still live streaming. But yeah, I mean, with Game of Thrones and as a Witcher fan, I'm sure I would enjoy that type of story and that type of world, which is part of the reason why I haven't started watching it yet, because I'm afraid I'm going to become totally into it and totally obsessed, and then I'm not going to be able to function until I see the next episode. I'd rather wait and then binge watch all of them over the course of a summer or Christmas break or something. And that's mainly my thought on that. Yeah, I don't know what the hell happened with that chat. Let me see if it's happening in the other... In XSplit now, I can open up other scenes and edit them before switching, which is really, really nice. My eye is itchy too. Yeah, on that one it seems to be working. I don't know what the dealio is. Let me see if this one's working. Yeah, now it's working. I don't know. But okay. There it is. Is that working? Yeah, now it's working. Okay, there we go. So yeah, do I like Rick and Morty? I from what I've seen of it, yeah. Again, that one I haven't had the time to really get into. But it does seem to be really, really funny from what I've seen. I like that really, really improv-based humor. I really enjoy that. I love improv shows. Whose Line Is It Anyway is gold. If you haven't seen that, look up right now as we finish. Look up Whose Line Is It Anyway? Some of the highlights. It's hilarious. But okay, now it's time for the final flush. So I'm going to lock my chat. We're going to go from there. And there we go. We're locking the chat. I want you to start typing those things that you're going to try to crack me up with in the chat. And you can put all that down there. Then we're going to go for 60 seconds. And if you make me crack up by the end of it, then you win. And if I don't crack up, I win. And I don't have anything funny to consume or eat this week. But we'll figure that out. I'll plan ahead next time. Let me get my stopwatch ready. Relatively clean, please. We have some younger people that watch, and I think that's even more impressive if you can make somebody crack up without the need of excessive, grotesque, profanity-filled humor. I think that's pretty impressive. What is happening? Okay. I also want to... What should I show you guys if I win? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. I'll brainstorm. Okay. It's time. It's time. Like Bruce Buffer. It's time. Okay. Let me get where I was. Okay. Let me get this all set up so that you can actually see what I'm looking at. So you can sniff what I'm stepping in. Like that. Okay. I think this will work. Let me stretch it out just a little more so that I can see everything. That's what she said. Okay. And we'll try from here. We'll try this. This is a little ghetto, but we're going to give it a shot. Yes, save changes. Here we go. We're going to go for it. Here we go. Pickle Rick. Oh, wait. I got to start the timer. Okay. And go. Is it going? Yes. Okay. Pickle Rick. Hi, guys. They confirmed season 8, I think. A baby seal walked into a club. Am I the only one who thinks Breaking Bad is the most overrated TV show ever? That could be fair, potentially. What's the difference between EA and North Korea? North Korea has had more successful launches. That's pretty good, actually. I'm impressed with that one. How do you know your redneck daughter is a great runner if she still is a virgin by 15? That's actually fairly accurate. Using white privileges as a genuine argument. That's a great joke. What does a Cuban do when he gets a flat tire? Drowns. And that's pretty good. Have you ever heard the joke about the baby with AIDS? It never gets old. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Where was Daniel Schuju is my girlfriend. Oh yeah. Ew, my jokes are in poor taste. You're too fat. Lol. Mr. Matt. Oh crap, I screwed past. Mr. Matty plays YouTube channel's future. That's mean. That's real mean. I like my women how I like my tanks in Battlefield. Disabled. Whatever works for you, man. Feminism. I like my women. That was a cough. I like my women how I like my bacon. Utterly thick, extra red, and slathered in 3 tubs of salted butter. Alex Jones memes. Those are really funny. The frogs are gay. Every 60 seconds in Africa, a minute passes. What? We're past a minute. We're like a minute 45. I think I won. Mainly, well done. Well done, everybody. Well done. Some of those were really good. And very, very dark. And I'm kind of impressed. I'll be honest with you. I do want to celebrate with our typical celebratory tradition at this point. I gotta find it real quick. Oh, this one looks good. I've never seen this one before. So I don't know if this is good, but we'll try it. We'll give it a shot. I'm open-minded. Okay, let me get this back to where we were. Preview editor. Okay, let's get that like that. Get that like that. Up like that. Choo-choo-choo. Choo-choo-choo-choo-choo. Okay, that looks like it's gonna work. And then fix this back there. Okay, that's good. And now I can show you the almighty. Let's get it going.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that? Turn the friggin' frogs gay. Serious crap gay. Frogs friggin' frogs. It's not funny. I'm gonna say it real slow for you. Gay. Frogs. Won't you fight for your life? Gay. Frogs friggin' frogs. I don't like a frog. Gay. Friggin' frogs.
This is well made.
Frogs. Friggin' frog crap. Won't you fight the frogs? It's not funny. I'm gonna say it real slow for you. Frogs. Place Boing.
Well made. That's made by Place Boeing, whatever. Place Boeing. Well made, my man. Well made. I think it's only right that we finish every episode with Alex Jones memes. I really think I really think that that's just what you have to do. I think it's very respectful. I think it's important to remember what's most important to us all. And if you haven't seen Alex Jones memes before, now you have. You're welcome. But we had a good show today. Sorry again, we delayed it by basically 22 hours or so, but I think it ended up being pretty good. We covered some topics. We had a good time. Do you have any parting words, co-host Mistletoe? Mistletoe, say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. No, she's busy. She's busy. Thank you, Is That Boy. I hope the short film goes well as well. This isn't updating. It's not updating. Why is it updating? Oh, there we go. Yeah. Oh, they're all pouring in. There we go. I don't know what's wrong. Something's wrong with this live chat thing. I gotta see. It's mixing up all these comments. I don't know what the deal is. Anyway, so yeah, the short film is going to be about a half hour long. He's submitting it to a few different festivals, but it's going to be a good time. Yes, join the bowel movement. Hop over to the Discord. We have a great time over there. You get sneak peeks to a bunch of upcoming projects and videos. This week, I'm going to be working on an Assassin's Creed Syndicate critique and video, but I'm also kind of reevaluating a lot of the structure of the content. We're going to still do a lot of critiques, but I don't think I'm going to try to do one a week. I think we're going to do a lot more also talk gaming extras like we used to, talking about typical gaming topics, and instead of trying to make an hour-long video every single week, because that gets very exhausting for not just me, but also for the viewers and the audience. That's a lot of content to absorb and to create. So we'll do it for big games that you guys actually care about, instead of just trying to pump it out for a lot of different kind of pointless games. So that's what we're going to try to do. And yeah, we'll try that out. I don't know why you're trying to start a thing where everybody calls me dad, but I won't stop it. Yes, I'm a robotic man. I am robotically fantastic. Robotically magnificent, I think, is the official term. And I'm waiting to hear back from my graphic artist who contacted me offering to help. He's working on some t-shirts, actually. Some t-shirts that I think will be quite fun, and I'm excited. I'm excited because I know I'm actually going to buy a couple, even if no one else buys any. I'm going to buy a lot because I just want a shirt that says Fugazi on it. Really, that's what it comes down to. But thank you all for coming. Thanks for all everyone for come checking us out. Praise be to Raspusha. Have a great week. I'm going to see you later on early in this coming week, but have a great weekend. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. I love you all. Say bye, Mistletoe. Say bye, Mistletoe. Say bye. She's busy. Anyway, bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.